How's it going, everybody? My name is Faze Crypto. Feel free to follow us on Snapchat. All that being said, today we are talking about Cardano ADA. Essentially, a critical point in the cryptocurrency space is going to be the technologies that manage to really develop those essential partnerships with the technology companies that have already established dominance in the space. In particular, my attention definitely does go to Google, and this is also another reason that leads back to my initial interest in Cardano. Seeing how this of course the London meetup in July 3rd was interesting. Potential collaboration signs there. Then of course Global Coin Report giving lip service to that same idea, the overall concept. And when you really pay attention to and have a developed understanding of what Cardano actually aims to accomplish, I could see Cardano and Google going together very nicely. I feel like it would be sort of a perfect storm. And of course, when you talk about success and what the future is going to look like, well, Google and is definitely has the potential to Lamborghini. Let's be honest. I mean, we're looking at these images of Lamborghinis on Google. So overall, Cardano, when you really pay attention from a data perspective and you look at the team and honestly read the white paper and do your own research regarding Cardano, and it really does speak for itself. Really very interesting developments happening in the world of crypto. It's an exciting time to be paying attention to the cryptocurrency space. ADA is really one of the most forward-moving cryptocurrencies, in my opinion. I would say that Cardano really stands a chance to position themselves in a way that's going to make them a dominant power moving forward. And looking at the space and how it currently has been unfolding. I mean, Bitcoin doing pretty extravagantly, if I do say so myself, comparatively when you take into consideration its history over the past few, obviously you've been paying attention to as well. Bitcoin was around $6,000. It's up to $8,000. So I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who are holding a couple Bitcoins that were feeling pretty happy about that upward mobility over this past short amount of time. And it just goes to show you that there are still people out there who are benefiting from their involvement with cryptocurrency. Now it is a double-edged sword, because there's people who are going to be having benefits from it, and then of course on days when things aren't necessarily looking up, well, there's risk reward in any space. And when it comes to cryptocurrency, ultimately leveraging that sort of the odds and everything, to some it might seem like gambling, but the thing about cryptocurrency is that if you're paying attention to the trends and you're capable of discerning the nonsense news from the fake news, from the news that will teach you something but isn't exactly valid, from authentic sources and validated sources, well, in cryptocurrency you could pretty much do your research. And that's why we recommend doing your research so much, because if doing your research didn't help, then why would people have so much success? Because there's people who do have a pretty good grasp on how these things are unfolding. I've spoken with and it is interesting to see how these developments have been manifesting themselves. In particular, Cardano seems to be one of the really cryptocurrencies that has an idea of how the future is going to look in the overall context of how these various different developments have been coming together. You see, when you think about it, Bitcoin was essentially the subject of digital gold, the introduction of that into the public consciousness. The idea of the cryptocurrency first had its roots in essentially the introduction of Bitcoin, and how we've been seeing these things moving forward step by step. Ethereum would essentially be that sort of second generation, the hybridization of the original concept, and taking it a step further with smart contracts. Now, Why are we so interested in Cardano? Well, I would say Cardano is essentially the third stage of the logical step-by-step movement of cryptocurrency. Only Cardano is in such an early point right now that I would say that overall they do have an opportunity to learn from the mistakes that have been made from others. And of course, really moving forward, I would say that Cardano is one of the leverage is really on their side as far as the various different recognitions that they've achieved up until this point. So, I mean, as things currently stand, I mean, of course, we're looking at, a lot of things have been moving relatively sideways, of course, with the 296. I mean, things just sort of moving in that direction. And in the spirit of sharing different opinions, actually going to be including a link to this video by Phantom Strategies down in the description below. So if you guys are interested in watching an interesting video about Cardano, you guys can find that link in the description. I mean, it's an 11-minute video, but it really is pretty interesting content. Hopefully we can get them up to 7,000 subscribers or something would be really awesome. But yeah, all that being said, definitely check out that video. But of course, it's only going to move in that direction until it's not anymore. And then, of course, there's always these big spikes and movements that are happening all the time. There's people who are benefiting from their involvement with cryptocurrency. And, seeing Bitcoin dominance where it is currently at 47.4%. Pretty impressive number right there. Pretty amazing to see where it is. I mean, not as high as it was, of course, in the past, but I mean, it is interesting to look at these different variables as they've been manifesting themselves. I mean, just looking at these different news articles is helpful because it gives basically an interesting perspective on how the public consciousness has been moving forward in the overall context of this development of this space, because we are pretty early in the cryptocurrency space. You have to realize that there's going to be this sort of volatility is really not going to last forever. So of course, there's people who are going to tell you otherwise, but it is an interesting space nonetheless. And then Charles Hopkinson on this is an interesting article right here by AMB Crypto, and obviously it's interesting. I always look at all these different things. I mean, this Charles Hopkinson's article really seems to have struck a chord with the Cardano community, and it started up an interesting conversation about these various different things and how we're going to be seeing these developments manifesting. So and I mean, I find it interesting, the CEO of Cardano is calling Bitcoin and Ethereum worthless. I mean, and it's interesting to see how these people think, and of course, I mean, it is interesting to see how these people who were essentially blazing a trail for the future of society and the real trendsetters as far as these things go. But definitely check out this other article too here by Ethereum World News, where we hear about the future of Cardano. And overall, cryptocurrency is a pretty interesting space. I mean, this was an interesting one too by Science News, is how an ancient stone money system works like cryptocurrency. Always check out the news regarding this space, because that's where, and of course, Twitter is a really great resource for finding information regarding this space too. And of course, there is a pretty active community that's been, exerting itself regarding Cardano on Twitter. So if you guys aren't already, make sure that you're following Cardano on their official Twitter, and then you guys can also connect with us on Twitter as well. I'll actually be including a link to the Twitter down in the description. And remember, this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. This video is not financial advice, for entertainment purposes. And remember, I'm not your dad. And all that being said, I mean, in my opinion, I'd say Cardano does have a lot of potential moving forward. And I'm really excited as things currently stand, as we've been seeing these various different things coming together in such a short amount of time, in particular with the way that there's been so many people who've been attracted to this space, who've been discouraged, of course, because of the volatility aspect of cryptocurrency. But that's why we always say that you need to do your own research. But I mean, just the fact that Cardano does have this recognition with alongside brands like Google, these important companies, these giants of our time, really. Ultimately, it's going to be interesting to see how the future is going to look and what we're actually going to witness as far as how these developments are going to look at happening in real time. In particular, I would say the year 2019, 2020. These are interesting, short years, not very far away, and so much can happen in that short amount of time. So very exciting stuff. And so all that being said, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this content. Make sure that you are following us on Snapchat, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.